Hi there friends, bienvenidos. My name is MadHatterMads. Today we're going to be doing a tutorial on adding missing ages to defaults. So something that I noticed as I had been making my own hair defaults is that a lot of the adult hairs on the Sims 2 database in particular, didn't have hairs for children or toddlers. And for some reason that just particularly drives me a little bit crazy. I like the idea of a sim that was born, so not one made in CAS, not one that was already pre-installed with the game. I like the idea of a kid being born, having a hairstyle, and then growing in to said unique style. I don't want to have to like make a cute hairstyle and then not be able to use it unless I go in manually and pick it out. I'd like to see it randomly pop up. I spent a lot of time and I've learned how to add these ages to these defaults. Now there's two ways to do it. One, you can pick a toddler hairstyle that is already in the game, so one of your defaults, and you can use that as the missing ages. Or you can find the original source of the default hair. So each default hair was somebody else's custom creation. They made the mesh, they made the coloring, and they gave permission for others to use it and do with it what they wanted. You could find that original hair, download it, and then make it so all ages have that hair, not just the ones that were missing in the Maxis original default version. So that is the one that we are going to be doing today. We are going to be picking a singular hairstyle, and it is going to be the same hair from toddler to elder. The hairstyle I'm going to be doing today is the Matchmaker episode 7 hair. So this one is in the free time expansion pack. I think it's probably one of the hobby leader hairs. I really don't remember, but it doesn't really matter. We are going to take this hair and then we are going to add the missing ages to it. So the Matchmaker hair episode 7 only has the elder female hair. So we need to create hair for the toddler, the child, the teen, the YA, and the adult. And now that sounds really intimidating, but it's actually not that bad. There's a few tools to make it a bit easier. So one of the main ones, the main one really honestly, besides SimPE, is Hairbinner. So Hairbinner needs to be downloaded from Mod The Sims, which is a website that just has a lot of custom content for The Sims 2, including default hairs, default clothing, and custom things that can be added into the game, such as skins, items, furniture, etc. Now, the Hairbinner is really unique. You pull it up, you have all these options. So the ... this is where you get the file and then put it in. And these are the specifications for the file that is being binned, or I don't know, kind of compressed into one singular thing. The same family for all 4 colors. This is really important. So on SimPE, this is a family string. Now each individual hair style has a value over here. It's really important that when you are creating the default hairs that you make sure that they all have this. Otherwise, it's not going to be linked to the hair. It is just going to show up randomly, probably as some sort of custom hair, and that's just not what you want in this particular situation. So for Hairbinner, you want to make sure that all the things that you add, so all your SimPE files you add here, you want to make sure they're the same family. One gray for all 4 colors. That's usually what I do. You do have the option to add a separate gray. I never do this, but other people may have other desires for that. So it is an option if you have a separate color you want to add in. Same file for all 4 colors. This just merges, so the black, the blonde, the brown, and the red, it merges them all together in one file for you. I usually do this option. Now, if you are going to use a hair that is already installed on CAS, whether it is a default that you have already created or downloaded, or an original EA Maxis hair, you click this. However, today we're using a hair that is not included already in our CAS or in our body shop. So we are going to leave this box unmarked. These are the ages that we need to keep. So this will remove the files that we do not need. The only one that we don't need in this instance is the elder file. So everything else we're going to keep. In other cases, you can remove more. So like say you had teen through elder, you could just do this. So you just include whatever hairs you need. Change it to female. The unisex button, I don't know. I don't find really works well for me. I always just specify the hair, even if it is a unisex hairstyle. Enable outerwear. I always do this. I like all the hair to be available for every single outfit style that is available in the game. To proceed onward, we have our hairbender. So what we need to do is we need to go to our downloads. So this is where we should have our file of the original hairstyle. So we have the default. The default was made from a custom version created by someone else. We need to download that custom version. So mine, I already have it downloaded. I downloaded mine from Spellbloom. It's Stealthic Genesis, and it is in the colors of Poppet, right? Poppet version 2. I love Poppet version 2. It's my personal go-to. But there's a lot of other hairstyle systems and colors and textures that are out there. And so you have a lot of options. These are all Poppet colors. This is what we're wanting. And I want to add it for the elder color. Since we already have the elder color, I think it's in the new hair system for the download, for the default I have. So I don't want it that color. I want it Poppet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit export, hit desktop, then hit save. Now that is all I need to do up to this point. So quickly, I'm going to go in, see how this is a different color. I'm going to click this, hit build DXT. Now this is important. You can import it if you want, but building a DXT will typically be an easier way because oftentimes down here in this box, there's sometimes more than one image size. So there could be like 1024, 512, bigger, smaller. There can be a lot of them. If you hit import, you have to make sure it is the size of the one you're selected. So you would have to not only import that size, you would have to resize it for every other image text in here. So you don't want to do that. Building a DXT will do it automatically for you. So it will take your image and it'll resize it to the one that is already in SimPE, plus the ones that are smaller. You need to find the texture type. So you get that, you open that file. I'm going to be honest, it's on Smoothen. I have no idea what that would do. Now under the sharpen box, you hit none. You're going to hit build, and now it is automatically added. So this is a really easy way of adding color if you don't want to have to manually do it through the Paint app or Procreate or Adobe or something, you know. If someone's already done the work for you and they don't care about sharing their textures or their colors like Poppet, then that's something to definitely take advantage of. And be sure to, you know, thank them because they've put in a ton of work. So yeah, that is something. If you're ever wanting to share this stuff, like so if you're wanting to share, if you make your own unique hair or you make your own default hair system or whatever, be sure to check with the people who made the hair that they're okay with you editing it, and the people who created the textures. You know, check with them too, because these people have put in a ton of work. I mean, creating the meshes and everything, that's something that I have no idea how to do, and that's incredible. So just be sure to be respectful of these creators and what they've done. Most people don't care if you take their stuff and use it. Some people do. Some people have notes asking you not to edit it. You usually can find out on their blog page, or if it's Mod The Sims, they might have a note in the description. You can usually find out about their rules. Most people just want credit and for you to not sell their creations. But anyway, moving on, we are gonna go back to the hairbender. So we need to find the download, which I immediately figured out what it's called. Spellbloom, okay. Spellbloom Stealthic Genesis. Some people come up with like the most creative names for their hairs. I don't know how they do it. Anyway, okay, so black. Then you add in the brown file. And again, if you're worried, you can always double check the image to make sure that you put the right one in. Then we're going to go to blonde. Now these are the package files. They're being added into the hairbender. And then we'll add red. Now we have all of this set, so same family, one gray for all four, same file for all four. We don't want to decustomize it at this point. We need toddler, child, teen, and adult, female, and enable outerwear. Now we're going to hit bin, and it's going to be doing this work behind the scenes. And it is basically just compiling all the information together. It is removing anything that we don't need from the file. So now we have all four colors in Genesis Black, and we have the mesh, okay? So we need to add that mesh first. We need this, so we're gonna add the mesh in. This file actually didn't have the mesh. This file originally was compiled by Malvern, and it included the Matchmaker and the Matchmaker episode 7. I have a different hair for the traditional Matchmaker person. I've separated this one by myself just to add another unique style. You know, I don't like duplicates. But if it's easier for you and you don't care, that's one less hair to deal with. Add in all the mesh pieces. Okay, this is important. If you don't add in the mesh, it is not going to show up in Body Shop or the game, even if you have all the textures and all the files, just because it's kind of like the building block. And the texture and the property sets and all this is kind of like the paint on top. I don't know, not necessarily. They all work together. It's more like making cookies. If you miss a step, it's just not going to work no matter what it is. But I'd say the mesh is the foundation. We're going to open this sucker up, okay, with SimPE. Now, always be careful, you know, with SimPE and editing stuff. I wouldn't mess around with it too much, per se. Not necessarily like a file, like if you're doing like a hair default or clothing or whatever, you know, if you mess it up, you can always delete it. But there is a bunch of other things you can click on where you can edit things in game. And unless you're very good at coding or, I don't know, this type of stuff, I personally wouldn't mess with it because you don't want to mess with anything that is internal in the game. The external stuff like the downloads and the projects, those things can usually be removed pretty safely. So again, always exercise caution when you're doing this stuff. If you ever run into any issues, Mod the Sims, they have a lot of forums. They have a ton of people that are extremely smart with this stuff. So if you ever do run into problems, you can always post a question and you'll probably have someone respond or give you some advice how to fix it. But again, don't go like actually into the files and remove or edit things. Like don't remove like the cameras or don't remove any, like don't go in and remove a specific hairstyle if you hate it. Like the gorilla masks or the clown hair. Like if you hate it, you can find something to hide the hair or you can always replace it. Don't actually delete it out of the file. Don't do any of that stuff because then you'll have to re-download things. It'll just be kind of messy. Speaking from experience, we're going to go to instance. And so we are going to, usually it's number 5, I believe, is the stuff for elders. Yeah. Okay. So for some reason with Hairbender, it doesn't remove the binary index or the 3D ID files. It does everything else. It removes the textures. It will remove any images. It'll remove the property set. It just doesn't do that. Now, I don't know if leaving it in would cause any issues, but I don't imagine you want double just in case there is conflict, and removing it won't hurt anything as long as you're careful of what you're removing. So this is not linked to any property sets or any other binary indexes that we need, right? This is why we hit instance. So everything under these numbers would show anything that we may have been missing. So see how the AF long simple hair, it's under 4, and we can see the 3D files and the binary indexes that are linked to it. This doesn't have those, which means we can deduce that this is most likely the elder hair that we didn't need. So we can go in and delete that, and then everything else is fine. That'll also make the package size considerably smaller, which again, a lot of defaults and custom content and mods can take up a lot of space. So making these things a bit more small can definitely help with storage space on your computer. So we're going to go in and we have a little bit of work we've got to do from this point. So we need to match the version, the product, the creator, and the family to the default file that we have. Okay, so we have the matchmaker hair. So it is version, let's see, version 6, product E. So that is the free time code. So this means the free time game pack. It's important to change this because the icon will show up for the additional ages that you've added. And so making sure that you put this in correctly will make sure that not only is it linked to the proper family when you do this, but it'll show up with the right icon in the right location. So we're going to go in, we're going to pull up our file. So we're going to go to property set, and we're going to change all of this to version 6 product E. Okay, now whenever you do that, you need to always hit commit. It will not save if you don't hit commit, even if you hit save. If you do this and just change this and you go to move on, it'll notify you. If you hit no, go back, you'll see it reverted back. So you need to always make sure that you are committing any changes that you make to these files. Another thing that you're going to need to do when you're making this is you need to change the creator. Most of these custom hairs have a unique creator ID. Now, for custom content, this is not a problem, right? So if a custom hair, it kind of has that weird star icon. It's at the very beginning in front of all your expansion packs and stuff packs. Leaving the creator ID is not a problem. However, when you are doing defaults, you need to make sure that it is back to 0. You need it, I don't really know why, but you need to make sure it's 0. I think you need to make it match as much as you can to the original default file. Even if one thing's kind of off for whatever reason, it just won't link properly. So you need to go through and do that with every one. So this links it, makes it from a custom, so 6.0 is custom. Now change it to 6E, makes it linked to free time. Each pack, so each expansion, and each stuff pack has its own unique version and product code. As you are doing this, you need to make sure that you know that code and that you are typing it in so that, again, everything is properly linked. And again, if you mess up when you are doing this file, as annoying as it can be sometimes, you know, don't be too hard on yourself. There is a lot of information. It can look really intimidating, and it can be quite difficult, honestly, if you're not familiar with it. So don't be too hard on yourself. Just do your best. And if you mess up, just try again. Something that I did when I was getting used to these was I would create a copy and put it in a separate file on my desktop, just so that if I did mess up, I could look back and see what I did wrong, and then I wouldn't have to go through and mess with everything. I could just start fresh. All right, so now we've gone through. Now we need to add in the family. Remember, this is important. This means that they are all the same hair. Now we need to go in and do the same thing. You go under family, you copy paste it, and you commit. And you do that for all of them. Now, an additional thing that is down here is category. The 137F means that it is linked for every outfit style. I prefer that. I don't like that some hairs are limited to like only exercise or whatever. That being said, there are several codes that you can type in if that is something you're wanting to change. Like if you wanted to include in your game like a sleep bonnet or a hijab or something else, you know, or like if you only want updos to be like everyday and formal, but for sleep, not, you know, that is something you can go in and change. There are some codes. I don't know them off the top of my head just because I don't use them, but there are codes that you can type in under category to make it so that the hair is that way. And there are some websites with resources that can help you with that type of information. And again, don't be intimidated by this stuff. It can be quite daunting for starting out. I know that it certainly was for me. But as you get going, you get better at it and you start really understanding what it is. Plus, I feel like with videos, you can really visualize it and see it, and that helps a ton. So now we've gone through, we've done that. We changed the version, the product, the creator, the family, and we made sure that the category is correct. Now with the flags, for this default, we want to make sure that it is all zeros. This means that any townie, I believe any NPC, anybody can have this hairstyle, and it's not hidden on CAS, so create a sim. Now this is something, this is actually flagged for 29. I don't know what that number means, but I know that the 9 means that it's hidden. I don't want this hair to be hidden, so we're going to change that. And now this is the default file, and that is okay to change. Okay guys, so what you're going to be doing now is you need to add that all colors file to the default one now. I mean, I guess you don't necessarily need to, but just for, I don't know, I guess just to make the file and the default folder a bit cleaner, it'd be easier to just combine these files. So anyway, you're going to go in, you hit add all 4 colors, and now it is merged into one big package. So this has everything. It has all our property sets, it has all our mesh, it has all our texture images, it has all our 3D referencing files, it has everything that we are needing. So now what you need to do is you're going to save that. You can get out of Hairbinner. Now you have this, and this is in my downloads folder, okay? So now I can open up Body Shop and I can see if I finish this default correctly. You always should make sure that it looks right in the game and in Body Shop. Just because sometimes it's really easy to miss stuff. I've missed stuff all the time. I sometimes forget to put in the mesh. Sometimes I forget to import the textures. Like, sometimes I just forget to change like a few little numbers around. It's really easy. So just always double check. And again, if you did miss something, don't be hard on yourself. It can be a very easy fix. And again, as you get more used to doing this stuff, you'll start to recognize where you messed up. I'm not going to say that you're going to stop messing up. You'll probably mess up less. But like, if you do mess up, then you'll also recognize, okay, this looks like the texture is missing, or the mesh is missing, or I forgot to put in this property set or something. So it will get a bit easier to manage. We are going to be looking, I'm going to pull up the Elder, and we are going to be looking in free time for that matchmaker hair. And look, we've got it in there. It's looking beautiful. Now we need to make sure that we added the ages in properly. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it looks so far like we've done it correctly. Now this is something you should check for every color, because sometimes you just miss something in the others, you know? And here is something fun to look at. You remember how we changed the version and product to match the one in the default? Now it's showing up here. And because we didn't flag it, it's all zeros, it is going to show up in Body Shop and in Create a Sim. So you can go in and choose this hair at any age and have it in your game. And it's randomized. So this hair can also pop up on any sim in your game. Oh, and we changed the hair color, right, for the Elder. This is the Pop It Gray, so that worked too. So everything worked perfectly. This is something that I love to do in the game. I feel like changing the hair, adding defaults, and adding ages, I feel like it just adds that little extra something to the game. The game is a little old. I feel like it modernizes it a bit and helps it be more playable for nowadays. I love this game, and even though it's old, I feel like it's one of the better Sims games in my opinion. I hope this tutorial was helpful for you guys. If you have any questions or concerns, please comment down below, and be sure to like and subscribe if you are enjoying this video and my content. Be sure to have a good rest of your day, be kind to others, and be kind to yourself. Take care. Bye-bye.